this is my destiny. And look what happened. So you can't, God has a plan. I always said that.
The date of May 27, 2001 will forever be etched in the memory of Helio Castroneves. He has realized the ultimate dream. Helio Castroneves has won the Indianapolis 500.
There's a 4-time win on the line for Helio Castroneves. Look at the crowd. They know history's on the line. Welcome to the 4-time club, Helio Castroneves. That is awesome. Spider-Man is back at the Speedway.
Welcome inside the wind tunnel. Your home for real motorsports conversation. Wind Tunnel is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of NASCAR. This week on Wind Tunnel.
Here comes Riggs! Riggs is back at it on the inside.
He's father, mentor, he's the truck driver, he's the crew chief, he's the car chief, he spots for me, and just dad at the same time.
Welcome to the 4-time club, Helio Castroneves!
What an opportunity we have here for the fans, for everyone that is gonna, for people that love motorsport, and it's part of history.
Here's your host, Jack Arute.
In 2001, a young Brazilian driver named Helio Castroneves arrived at the corner of 16th Street and Georgetown Road in Speedway, Indiana. 20 years later, Helio Castroneves joined racing's most exclusive club, becoming only the 4th driver in Indy 500 history to win the greatest spectacle in racing 4 times. And this week, Castroneves is on the precipice of joining another club, a club of 1, as he chases a 5th 500 victory. In this week's Wind Tunnel episode, I'll trace with Helio the energetic driver's IndyCar career right from the beginning. It is a career that is marked by success, but casted from happenstance, tragedy, and indictment. You'll learn how all of that changed the driver, affably known as Spider-Man, and how Helio Castroneves believes that it will fuel his drive for 5. I'll also introduce you to a second-generation driver who hopes to go one better than his father, Scott Riggs. Scott was a Virginian late model legend. His winning performances played a role in his son Layne Riggs' decision to follow his dad onto the short-track late model racing scene. Layne has already proven himself to be a winner on the circuit, but his goal in 2022 is a NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series National Championship, something that his father never accomplished. He and I will unpack Layne's approach to racing, his goals, and the impact of following in his father's footsteps. But before we kick things off, let me get you caught up on this past weekend's racing. It was All-Star Weekend for NASCAR's Cup Series, and the stage was the 1.5-mile Texas Motor Speedway. The 3-day racing and music celebration started with the running of the Speedy Cash 220 on Friday night for the Camping World Truck Series, and that race came down to overtime.
NASCAR overtime.
There's a big tire spin by Friesen, but he recovered from it. He's going to get down into turn 1 side by side with our leader.
Oh, Nemechek really a big shove to the 42 of Hocevar, got him sideways, and Eckes on the outside. Friesen by a nose. Eckes coming around the top side.
Who's it going to be? What a battle for the lead here.
Friesen got it. The door. Stewart Friesen through turn 4. Stewart Friesen is going to win at Texas.
Man, I made all the mistakes I needed to make in the first 2 segments. We had an awesome truck. When the 17 lined up with me, I was like, all right, I got Priest. I got a real racer in my back pocket here, and he shoved the heck out of me. I'm terrible on restarts, and that was probably the best one on old tires. Just didn't spin the tires, got a jump, and then threw a slider in 1 and 2, and it stuck. So we're in the playoffs. How about that? Woo!
Saturday, it was the Xfinity Series turn with the running of their SRS Distribution 250.
1 lap to go. Tyler Reddick leading.
There's nothing like a first win for a race team, right? It means so much. You always remember it. And being so close, like you said, in Darlington, to be able to come back out here and just put on a heck of a show, it's going to feel really nice to see this thing come across the line.
Reddick wins a title for Junior Motorsports, gets one for Richard Childress Racing. Today, he's going to get Big Machine Racing, their first ever victory. Tyler Reddick wins it at Texas.
Hey, great job, man. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Nobody at RCR was really happy with where the cars are at, and I wanted to help and try and make these cars get better and try and figure out what we need to do to get back up front. And, well, we figured it out pretty quick, I guess. So, great day. Really happy to get this team their first win. That was, what a day.
Then, on Sunday night, with $1 million on the line, NASCAR's Cup All-Stars took to the track. Crashes knocked some of the favorites out of contention, but it was what happened on the very last lap of the race that left everyone shaking their heads in disbelief.
Remember, this race must end under the green flag, no matter what. Car in the wall, back straightaway, no problem. He's the last car in line, Ryan Blaney. Caution waves, but did he get the checker before the caution for that car on the back straightaway?
Serious? Race isn't over? Yes, I am serious. It's not over.
Yeah, Ryan just came over the radio and said, I cannot get it back in myself.
Now, he's got the Velcro strap up there. If he can get that wrapped around and pull on it, that may create enough leverage to get that up and into position and hold it. Ryan Blaney had his pen in hand to sign the back of the check for $1 million. And the caution flag came out 100 or 200 feet before the line for a car at the back of the field in the wall outside turn 2. We're going to go green, white, checker, and remember, the race must finish. The checkered flag must fall with the track in a green flag condition. Blaney back to business, trying to hold off Denny Hamlin, Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, and more. One more restart. Maybe. Here we go. Whoa, Blaney cleared Hamlin, but by inches.
Needs those cars racing side by side behind him and has it.
Here they come to the line. The track is green. The checkered flag waves. Ryan Blaney wins the All-Star race.
Unbelievable.
Give him extra credit for that whole episode with the window net and the non-finish, not taking away his focus. When the green flag waved for the final time, he responded, and that's why he is sitting right there, parking it at the start-finish line as an all-star race winner.
It was about to be real bad for us if I thought the race was over. Everyone thought the race was over, and I already had my window down, and I do want to thank NASCAR for letting me kind of fix it and not make us come down pit road. Yeah, that was really tough. Then having to do it all over again after trying to get that window net back up there, but.
There also was a lot of action on the NASCAR Weekly Racing Series, and Lenny Baticki filed this report.
Thanks a lot, Jack. This is your NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series report. We'll start out way out in Washington at Evergreen Speedway. Mark Hubbard, the winner there. Corning, Iowa, Adams County Speedway to Zach Zeitner. Chris Fleming and Zach Brewer, winners at Bowman Gray Stadium in North Carolina. Hickory to Katie Hediger. Clay Jones got the checkers at Wake County. Florence Motor Speedway, Cody Kelly and Cade Brown split the victories. Jimmy Mars, the winner at Wisconsin Cedar Lake, while at La Crosse it was Jacob Godey. Ben Poland, a winner at Claremont, New Hampshire. At Hudson it was Bobby Timmons. Doug Colby, the winner at Lee USA, and Monadnock to Kyle Robinson Newell. Landon Pembleton and Peyton Sellers, winners at Dominion in Virginia. At Langley, it was Riley Music. And continuing his march to the NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series Championship, Layne Riggs picked up a pair at South Boston. South Boston Speedway and Edmonton International Speedway both featured on the C-pillars of Ryan Blaney's all-star winning car, courtesy of Advance Auto Parts. Sunset Speedway to Rick Spencer-Walt. Jacob Gomes won at Irwindale Trail in California. Bill Layton Jr. got the win at I-80 in Nebraska. The Concrete Jungle, Kingsport, Tennessee to Chris Van Dyke. Denny Belknap, a winner at Kansas's Lakeside Speedway. Limaland in Ohio to Jared Horseman. Jeff Hillock won at Idaho's Magic Valley Speedway, while it was Josh Vanopoulos and Dalton Cristani getting the wins at Meridian. Riverhead in New York to David Antos. Johnny Robinson II wins at Rockford. Seekonk to Vinny Oregonagato. David Levitt won at Arizona's Tucson Speedway. Grandview grooving once again for Craig Van Doren, while Barry Audi took the win at Jennerstown. But the biggest winner this week got to be Billy Rebar and that crew at Jennerstown Speedway. They took the win in the Advance My Track promotion from Advance Auto Parts, picking up $50,000 for that great speed plan at Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. That's your NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series report. Have a good one, Jack. We'll see you next time.
Meanwhile, qualifications for this weekend's Indy 500 set the field of 33. Saturday, it was time to determine the fastest 12 on the grid. Then on Sunday, those 12 were pared down to the fastest 6, who got a one-shot, 4-lap, 10-mile qualification run to determine the front row.
This is phenomenal from Scott Dixon. He is on target for the second fastest qualifying run ever in the more than 100-year history of the Indianapolis 500. You are watching something extraordinary here with New Zealand's Scott Dixon, to the dismay of his championship-winning teammate Alex Palou. He has been denied more than one victory multiple times, and that's a major source of frustration for Scott Dixon. Last year was a real annoying race for him with fuel issues. But guess what? He's challenged that and challenged it into positivity. Scott Dixon is a 5-time Indianapolis pole winner, and he's done it in the fastest way.
Oh, this is what this place is about. It's so amazing. Like the ups and downs that you have just in one day is crazy. Just so happy for everybody, you know, to get 5 of our cars into the fast 12 and then 4 into the 6. I hope Chip's got a smile on his face. I haven't seen him yet, but that definitely deserves a smile.
Next here on Wind Tunnel.
Here comes Riggs. Riggs is back at it on the inside.
Peyton Teller's with the jump on the outside, but Layne Riggs stays there into turn number 1. We're door to door.
Riggs trying to shove Waffle through that corner. Waffle will have none of it.
Layne Riggs is pulling closer, and boy, it looks like he's trying to make a move to get by.
Layne Riggs going to try to have the lead.
Looks like he will have the lead as he crosses the start-finish line.
Coming up, you'll meet this week's Advance Auto Parts Victory Lap guest after this message.
Hey, car lovers. At Advance Auto Parts, we have what you need to keep your car running all season long. So if you enjoy getting ahead of the curve when it comes to taking care of your ride, Advance Auto Parts has everything to keep your ride on track to reach the victory lap. Because you can trust the team at Advance Auto Parts to assist you in finding what you need at the right price. Stop by Advance Auto Parts, where you're always number 1.
This is how we advance.
Man, this is for all those guys. There's a ton of them out there that are like me, that have won here and all these great short tracks around here. We can do it. We just need the opportunities. Today proved it. Yeah, it's a short track, but it's still damn hard to win here, and we did it.
They are hometown heroes, drivers who put their passion on the line in front of their friends.
Here we go, 3 wide, got Sellers up in the marble.
Halfway home in this one. Off turn 4, he heads for the checkered flag.
Here comes Riggs. Riggs is back at it on the inside.
Buckle up and hold on tight.
Time now to focus the spotlight on hometown heroes with this week's Advance Auto Parts Victory Lap. Brought to you by the NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series, driving local racing in local communities forward.
Well, taking a victory lap in this episode of Wind Tunnel is a second-generation driver who grew up at the knee of his dad, Scott, as Scott became a terror of the North Carolina short tracks and then moved up the ladder to have a pretty successful Cup career in the NASCAR community as well in the late 90s. So it's no surprise that his son, Layne, thought, easy peasy, I can set my sights in following in the footsteps of my dad, but that really hasn't turned out to be the case. But he has a plan, and he joins us to share it with us. Layne, so good to have you with us. So early on at age 14, everything kind of fell into place, and you thought, I'm going to be able to set a goal, and that is to get into NASCAR's premier divisions and climb up the ladder. And then lo and behold, it didn't come as easy as you thought it would. You thought it was just all about nose to the grindstone and working hard, right?
That's right. Hard work always ends up paying off, and that could be from working directly on the cars to the marketing side to finding sponsorships. And everybody knows that it's harder and harder to find those nowadays, and it's a lot fewer of them. So working hard on that part, that's the main part we're trying to get straightened out right now. I got a lot of teams that I'm trying to work with, and it's a hard relationship because you got the team and you got the sponsor, but it seems like you got to have both of them at the same time. You can't have a team with no sponsor, and you can't have a sponsor with no team. So it's just getting that. The timing is everything in this sport. So getting it all lined up, and hoping to try to make a truck or Xfinity debut in the near future.
In the meantime, you've set your sights on unseating Peyton Sellers as the Advanced Auto Parts NASCAR Weekly Racing Series champion. And lo and behold, when the first standings were released, your name was ahead of Peyton's, and you were at the top of the list. You've had some early success, and you go right into the Lion's Den, my friend, running at South Boston and Dominion. How did the pieces all seem to come together this year for you?
Yeah, this was actually a very weird season. We started out, I'm a second-year student, well, going to be third-year student in college right now, trying to get a mechanical engineering degree. So that's taking up a lot of my time during the school year. So we said, hey, let's just run the big races only this year. We'll run 12, 13 races. Let's keep racing, but let's have fun with it. Let's say, we'll go run a Cars 2 race. Let's go run at South Boston local one week. And we show up to South Boston the first week. We ran pretty good in the Cars 2 races, and we showed up at South Boston, and we won both the first races, and Peyton finished right behind us. And I was like, wow, it just became surreal of how feasible this championship could be. And we came back the next week saying, let's just make sure this isn't a fluke. And we came back and we won again. We're like, wow, we already have 3 wins to our name, and it was only April at the time. So it would be really hard not to try to go for this national championship. A lot of great people backing me, a lot of guys on my team. Everybody's having to really dig deep to make this happen. Me and Dad working in the shop constantly every day, trying to get all our cars together and ready. So we've had some adversity already in the season. I think we have 7 wins out of, I know it's 11 NASCAR races so far, 8 wins total in the season out of, I think, 15 total. So we've had a lot of success this season, and I think that just goes back to hard work, determination, really doing our homework, and trying to beat the best.
And you're not doing it with a golden briefcase. You just shared with my listeners the fact that, yes, you've got to take the marketing side and the sponsorship and the partners there and the crew and have it all, in a confluence, all happening at the same time. But the relationship that you have with your dad, you talked about, fielding the car, and the number 99 always looks stout. And he has brought a lot to the party. Can you explain that relationship? Because he's not just a mechanic. This is a guy that rose to the very top where you want to get to. So what has that relationship been like? Father, son, mentor, teacher, or does it check all those boxes?
All those and more. He's father, mentor. He's the truck driver. He's the crew chief. He's the car chief. He spots for me. And just dad at the same time. And it's hard for him to have to play all those roles. And I know he's getting grayer by the day. I'm putting more stress on him. He's like, man, can we just please have an off weekend? And we just keep thrashing and keep going for it. But he's everything behind what I've done. I mean, all the guys on the team are volunteer help, and very thankful to them. They've taken vacation days during the week to come help us in the shop, try to get these cars ready. So, shout out to everybody on the team, all the sponsors that are able to help us out. We are a low budget race team. Our cars, I just got my first new race car this season, and the other ones are almost 10 years old. And I know a lot of teams we race with get new cars every season. So we're always getting hand-me-downs and try to take our knowledge, use those hand-me-downs, and make them better than them.
Where do you think you've most improved behind the wheel, Layne?
Well, I feel like I've always had speed behind the wheel and always been able to drive a race car fast, make sure I get every ounce of speed I can out of it since my first laps in a car and just learning the basics. But I think over the past, I'd say 2 years, I've really gotten my racecraft down. Knowing when to race somebody is the way I call it. If you got a 100-lap race, we're not going to win it on lap one. If the guy's pushing that hard and in the end that you're going to maybe save more tire than him, maybe he's going to get an accident in front of you, let him go. And as a racer, it's so hard to let somebody go. And with these tracks you race at, tire conservation's key. Just knowing when to race, knowing when to pick your battles. And that's something that behind the wheel, I feel like I've gained a lot stronger mind to. And I'm really getting good in these long races, and it's paying off, especially in the ones like the Martinsville Valley Star race and a lot of the big races. I feel like I'm instead of being there at the beginning, I'm really there at the end now.
Patience normally isn't something that a 20-something youngster acquires. So where did that come from?
Yeah, I'll actually be in 20 in June. I'm still a teenager right now. I'm going to live that as long as I can. But that really goes down to experience. I mean, those guys had to figure it out themselves. They were the ones that raced and figured out, and all the legends will all tell you the same thing. At first I didn't believe them. I'm like, man, I'm just going to go out there and go as fast as I can every lap. I'm going to win the race that way. But it goes back to that old tortoise and the hare. You have to pick your battles, be there at the end. Not always the fastest car wins a race. The smartest guy with the fastest car wins a race. So I'm 19 years old and I've been racing for 9 years. I've been racing half my life. So it's pretty crazy. I'm one of the veterans in the sport of short track racing almost at the time. So I've learned myself. I've gotten into trouble and gotten knocked out of races, and I learned from it and try to apply it to every race in the future.
How all-consuming, how burning is that passionate desire to succeed?
It's my life. That's all I strive for. And we talk about it all the time. I mean, the sport it's addicting almost. That high you get in victory lane, winning, all the pieces come together, and just all that hard, blood, sweat, and tears during the week ends up paying off. And then you get to look behind you, see all your crew that help you, and see just as much as motion coming out of them. It's hard to beat that feeling anywhere. And it's just, you do it one weekend, and man, I want to do it not once, but I want to do it twice next weekend. So it's just it's a never-ending thing.
Well, you certainly are at the epicenter of late model racing, and picking South Boston and Dominion, the homes to Peyton Sellers, and certainly we saw Josh Berry do the same thing. These national titleists that have preceded you, what have they shared with you about what it takes to have it come together for an entire season to win that crown?
I've actually talked to a lot of past champions. I talked to Lee Pulliam some. I talked to Josh Berry actually before the Carster race earlier this season. Me and him sat down and talked a little bit about it. So it's a lot of strategy into it. It's not just, with the touring series, like the top 3 national series, you have to race with the same guy every week. You just got to beat him at that track. We're all at the same track. Well, this comes down to you're racing a guy that you've never met before, and you've never even raced with or been close to or even in the same state with him before. So it's really hard to run for a national title. And I think this year it's probably going to come out of the Southeast again. It always seems to rise as the strongest short track advanced auto parts series. They always seem to come out of the Southeast. So I really think it's already come down to me and Peyton. I feel like we're really the only two that already have the wins stacked up and had the most success throughout the season. But yeah, they've taught me a lot of strategy with it, when to choose your battles, what tracks to go to. Car count's a big thing, making sure that the car count's going to be at those tracks. And it's going to be a lot of miles on the road traveling back and forth between all these different tracks.
Well, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that you will be in the hunt right down to the end of the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series national title chase. And who knows, that could be the springboard that makes a new Riggs a household name and that golden ticket to what your dream is, and that's to enter NASCAR's Premier Division. I do appreciate your visiting with me, and wish you the very best of luck.
All right, thank you, Jack. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Thanks, Layne.
You've been listening to the Advance Auto Parts Victory Lap, brought to you by the NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series, driving local racing in local communities forward. coming up after the break.
Look at the crowd. They know history's on the line. Welcome to the four-time club, Helio Castroneves. That is awesome. Spider-Man is back at the Speedway.
Hey, car lovers. At Advance Auto Parts, we have what you need to keep your car running all season long. So if you enjoy getting ahead of the curve when it comes to taking care of your ride, Advance Auto Parts has everything to keep your ride on track to reach the victory lap. Because you can trust the team at Advance Auto Parts to assist you in finding what you need at the right price. Stop by Advance Auto Parts, where you're always number one.
This is how we advance.
Well, all the festivities in and around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway's 106th rendition of the greatest spectacle in racing are already underway. And returning to the Brickyard, a newest member of a very, very exclusive club is the man that took home the checkered flag for the fourth time in his career. 1 season ago, as a part-time driver for Meyershank Racing, joins me here for this very special wind tunnel Indy 500 Champions Edition. You know we're talking about Helio Castroneves. Helio, you've had the good opportunity over the course of your career to return to Indy carrying a baby Borg, knowing that you're the defending champion of the race, but this is the very first time that you stand on the precipice of doing something in the 106 runnings of the Indy 500 no one's been able to accomplish, and that's a drive for 5. Does that hit you yet?
If it hit me or not, it's another discussion. But the point is, what an opportunity we have here for the fans, for everyone that is gonna, for people that love motorsport, and it's part of history, you know. So yes, it's not hitting me in the point that like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. No, it's not about that, because I know what I got. I know what the team has been working on it. So I just feel that everyone would love to witness, like they witnessed last year, which was an amazing part of history. And I feel that the 4 guys or the 3 other guys that we were discussing at the club, I guarantee they also want to see that too, because it's been so long.
In order to put what you have accomplished as an IndyCar driver in its proper context, I have to take you back to what for all of IndyCar Nation was a very, very dark time at the end of the 1999 season. You had just moved up in your second year. You were driving for Carl Hogan's championship auto racing team, and you were told that the team was going to shutter after the final race in California. And then we all know what happened. The man that Roger Penske had chosen, Greg Moore, met his death in an incredibly terrible accident.
Oh, an enormous crash. Oh my God. A terrible crash. Yellow comes out again. They now report it is Greg Moore.
And all of a sudden, someone came knocking at your door, needing to sign you immediately to a contract to arguably at that time, and maybe even now, the first chair in racing, and that is Team Penske. Can you describe to people that didn't know that part of the story, the roller coaster emotions for someone like you?
Absolutely. It was such a difficult scenario. Especially me, I'm a Catholic person. I'm not understanding. I was young, and a lot of things, question marks. My team was, unfortunately, Hogan was shutting down at that time. A colleague, losing a colleague, a friend of racing. I mean, it was all this craziness happening, and interesting, talking to Roger years later about that decision, because I remember him making said, look, I understand your doubts, but if it's not going to be you, it's going to be someone else. And one of the decisions I made, obviously, is talking to my family, mom and dad. I was like, Mom, what do you think? It's like, well, destiny put you here. And then realizing that, and many years later talking to Roger, Roger was, a lot of people might not know, but us that be in the business for a long time know that he was a good race car driver before he becoming not only a successful business person but also team owner. He was a good race car driver, and one of the tests that he had to do in Indy 500 or Indianapolis, he ended up giving up because he was pursuing his probably career in the business, having a dealership. And the guy that jumps in was Mario Andretti.
I know.
And look what happens, right? Same thing happened in my case. I have a very tough time in 2009. The guy that wasn't even driving anymore, Will Power, all of a sudden replaced me in St. Pete, and look what happened. So if you're thinking about example, and I'm sure there was many more drivers that I've heard, but I don't remember as of right now, that went through those process and those scenarios, similar scenarios. So my closure was when I went to Toronto, that I did the pole position, and they were giving the Greg Moore Award for that pole position. Ironic, I did the pole position, and his mom was giving to me, and I was so, disturbed that I didn't know how to react. And she's like, "Look, young, and you're supposed to be here, and we're happy you're the one that replaced him." For me, it was sort of a closure that I'm like, all right, I feel that this is my destiny, and look what happened. So that you can't. God has a plan. I always said that, and you just got to trust that. Sometimes we feel that it's not the right thing, but He knows it's the right thing.
We should point out that the CART IRL controversy was at its zenith at the time. But then all of a sudden, Roger decides he is going to field an Indy Racing League IRL team for the Indianapolis 500. And you show up at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where I know you've shared this with me before. You watched when Mo competed there on Brazilian TV. You actually did some Brazilian commentary promoting the race years leading up to it. But what really startled you and got you really interested in the Indy 500 is when an announcer said, and Emerson Fittipaldi has just won $1 million. Now you're there, and you're chasing $1.5 million. And you do it in your rookie season.
The date of May 27th, 2001 will forever be etched in the memory of Helio Castroneves. He has realized the ultimate dream. Helio Castroneves has won the Indianapolis 500.
How did that happen?
Well, I was so eager to win an oval race. It wasn't my first race, right? 2001, it was already a third year in IndyCar. And I'm like, I got to win in an oval. I need to figure out how to win in an oval. So I wasn't thinking about the tradition. I wasn't thinking about the history. I was more thinking about what do I need to figure it out to win a 500 mile. That's all I can say. And I guess that eager, I did my homework. I pushed it, understanding. Back then, we didn't have YouTube, Google. You couldn't figure it out how to find out the information from the past. And why not go straight to the source? Talking to Al Senior, John Rutherford, in my case, Rick Mears, that worked with me for so many years, and then talking to them all about it and asking questions finally hit me. So, and plus the track, obviously. This place is magical. I mentioned before, and it's true. It picks who is going to win the race, and that's probably the reason I ended up winning all these races, because I treat this place with respect, and probably it pays that respect back by giving me some great gifts.
Johnny Rutherford has always professed that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I quote, is a living, breathing organism. You've experienced it for over 20 years, and I would think you have to agree, just as you said, it chooses the winner. The winner doesn't choose winning.
Correct. And I'd be part of that myth, let's put it this way. I had this car in the past. It was just, I finished second. So it just shows that, you got to be in the right place, the right time, and hopefully for the best.
That Greg Moore incident and the rush to get it signed, it reared its ugly head in a very, very tragic period of time when you discovered, and your people, including your sister, who's just incredible, Katya, and questions about were the proper IRS, et cetera. We all know the story, Helio.
Indy racer and former winner of ABC's Dancing with the Stars, Helio Castroneves, turned himself into federal authorities this morning. He's been accused of using offshore accounts to hide millions of dollars in income from the IRS.
I'm here with my family, and I'm going to pray for justice.
How tough was it to deal with the possibility that the thing that you had strived to do since you were 10 years old was going to be taken away from you by an omission, and an innocent omission?
Yeah, that was the toughest I ever been. I have to say, don't wish this scenario to anybody, because when you feel powerless, when you feel things outside of your control, when you come to a place that you do the right thing and you're still being accused by scenarios that some people might just want to political correct or trying to do take advantage of the situation. And for me, it was very, very, very disturbed. But I was very thankful for the justice in America, that we were able to have a very fair trial and prove ourselves in front of everyone that we did absolutely nothing wrong.
Indy driver Helio Castroneves has been acquitted on charges of tax evasion. The two-time Indy 500 champ was found not guilty on 6 counts, and a conspiracy charge resulted in a hung jury.
The stress goes inside. It just makes you realize what you have is more than just, you got to be appreciated. You got to be opportunities that shows up in front of you. You got to embrace with your both hands, arms, and keep it going. It changed a lot of my perspective. Always being positive, don't get me wrong, but those scenarios will even make me realize, man, look at this grass, look at the sky, the sunshine, even the rain. I'm like, thank God, something's going to take advantage of this. So you take advantage of those very dark side and situations to make yourself better.
5 weeks ago, Helio Castroneves was staring at jail, an orange suit, not a race suit. And now he becomes a 3-time winner of the biggest race in the world. Helio Castroneves wins at Indy.
I only bring those kind of sad situations up because there are legions of your fans that only know you as the smiling, fence climbing, animated guy that just absolutely embraces life in the cockpit and outside the cockpit. But I'm glad you put it in the right perspective, that it isn't always about the good times. It's the bad times that define the way you appreciate those good times.
And it makes you stronger too. Obviously, the whole scenario that I went through, is even that I'm trying to focus. I focus in what I know and what I still doing it, which is racing. And that's why I very much believe that you got to hire people in their own field. If you're trying to do something other than what your expertise, you better do your homework, study and trying to find out. But if you don't have time, or if you don't feel that you're going to get that, hire someone. So because
right.
that's and do your obviously your homework to make sure that you don't hire just someone saying what it is. But I felt that those difficult moments made me really, really strong. People sometimes mistaking me being a nice guy for being, weak. And it's the opposite, Don't step on my toes, man. I'll fight back. I'm a passion guy, and I'll go for it. If you wanna hustle, or we will make it happen, So, but that's not the case. We're always trying to take the highway, and that's why I learned so much with Roger Penske over the years. You just turn the page, move on, and continue doing what you know best.
So we're going to turn our attention to the good times, because boy, there are so many of them. You come back in 2002, you win the Indy 500 again, and then in 2009, you join a pretty good club of 3-time winners. And all this time, the guy that is mentoring you is a 4-time winner of the Indianapolis 500, Rick Mears. What's the best advice that the Rocket ever gave you about Indy?
So many, man.
Yeah.
One of them, remember, is like, to finish first you got to finish. I'm like, let me put that in words. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like these little silly things, but it makes so much sense to finish first. You're not going to win the race in the first lap. And he's right. He always had some wise and incredible phrases that I use today. There are two kind of races at the Indy 500. People just focus on the race, but qualifying is something that the drivers really, really enjoy, including myself. So, yeah, all the advices that he gave me was absolutely incredible. I still gonna use for film driving.
We will continue our conversation with Mr. Four-time, hopefully about to become a history-making 5-time Helio Castroneves Indy 500 champion after you listen to these messages.
Wind Tunnel continues after this timeout.
Hey, car lovers. At Advance Auto Parts, we have what you need to keep your car running all season long. So if you enjoy getting ahead of the curve when it comes to taking care of your ride, Advance Auto Parts has everything to keep your ride on track to reach the victory lap. Because you can trust the team at Advance Auto Parts to assist you in finding what you need at the right price. Stop by Advance Auto Parts, where you're always number one.
This is how we advance.
Welcome back to your podcast home for motorsports conversation. Jack Arute's Wind Tunnel.
This is an Indy 500 special edition with, I'm very humbled by counting him as a dear friend, having witnessed and been to all of his racing career in IndyCars. He is Helio Castroneves. Whatever possessed you to start to climb fences as a victory celebration?
Great question. What possessed me? I guess the adrenaline of winning the race. I had no intentions, no plan at all to climb the fence, and it was a pure mistake that I was supposed to go to victory circuit and end up in a finish line. And I look in my left, the crowd was going crazy, and I felt that they thought I was stopping for them, which I was not. But I quickly trying to adapt and that little mistake and make it a nice way to celebrate with them together, like just like a soccer player, when they go and they climb the fence. I guess that's what my subconscious was thinking about. I had no idea. Turned out to be a great way, and Spider-Man, that's how it was born, of racing, because of a journalist, John from ESPN. He's the one that said, like, how you like to be called Spider-Man Racing. I was like, hey, I like that.
It works. Right. Well, you realize that in the beginning, that violated all of the protocols for the Indianapolis 500. And by then, you already knew the protocol required, because you knew Emerson's miscue by, promoting his orange grows by drinking orange juice and refusing the milk. And you certainly learned your lessons. But then you changed the protocols because of the fan response. And I know this firsthand, that when we would have the victory lane meetings in advance, they would say, all right, the driver's going to come directly here. Well, they'd go, unless it's Helio, and then we have a backup plan because he'll go to the fence first.
I did not know that. That's funny to know. I'm sorry to do that, but I feel that a lot of the fans, as I said, really being part of it, this celebration. They are there. This place is built by the fans, and absolutely they deserve to also have that sort of like, celebration together, because it's all about us having a good time in the end of the race, which is sort of like the end of the race, beginning of the party. And it was really cool to do that with everyone.
Along the way, also, you took up an opportunity and an invitation to compete in Dancing with the Stars. And much the way you tackled the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you didn't just go to make an appearance. You went, and I will be very candid with you. I could not believe the amount of time, energy, and study that you put in.
Helio and Julianne, the judges have loved your exuberant entertainment and energy. Has America made you their champions?
After 10 weeks of competition, the winners and new champions of Dancing with the Stars are Helio and Julianne.
I still try to understand how did I do that. By the way. It's a teamwork. As I use the same moto with racing, it was a teamwork. I wouldn't be able to do it without Julianne Hough, obviously, because she knew exactly what we need to do it, what the points that we need to hit it, and the fans also was amazing response because they got to vote too, right? Now, it's not only you dance well, but you got to also have the fan support in Indianapolis. That day in particular was the biggest viewer on ABC when they used to broadcast, or they still broadcast the show. But there was the highest viewer on Dancing with the Stars was here in the Indianapolis area, which was fantastic, and they really helped me to get. So it was a team effort.
After such an incredibly successful career at Team Penske, Roger comes to you, doesn't fire you. That first of all, that's not Roger's way. You were already business partners with Roger, selling cars, but says to you, it's the IMSA Sports Car Championship program that he wants you to focus on. How difficult was that? Because you live, breathed IndyCar racing for so very long.
Well, the way he said it and the way he's been supportive of my career, the way they, not only Roger, I'm talking about the entire family and the organization. It was sort of like, okay, they are, cutting down one car, focusing one other program. There is a space for me to still grow and keep it going, which I love it. I said, let's try one more year. Let's just one more year.
One more. Come on, Coach.
He said, this is now. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do it. But I felt I was needed in sort of being part of the program to help to keep it grow with the Arute sports car team, which was great. I always loved sports car. Don't get me wrong. I always want to race in different sort of series. And that was my opportunity. So I said, you know what? They're shutting down the one car, the number 3 program for whatever, how many years they're going to be. I would just go for it and see what happens. Stick. And that's also another advice from Rick Mears. It's like, stick with, because he knows where to go here. And I did. I decided to stay.
Ricky Taylor and Helio Castroneves will take the win.
But when they shut down the program, the Acura program, that was, I'm like, wow, what am I going to do? I don't want to stop. I want to keep it going. I love to stop with Roger because we've been for so long together, but I just don't want to do it. And when he said, like, you're free to choose other options, and I said, all right. And in fact, he even helped me with Meyer Shank Racing to discuss some of the business, to discuss some of the contract as well. And it was great. It was and now we're even more friends than probably employee, from his company, which is a better way too.
Tell me about the first call from Jim Meyer and from Michael Shank, trying to cobble together that limited schedule for Helio Castroneves.
Well, I was pushing it. I was like, we got to do full season. We can't do just a few races. It's difficult. You don't understand. And I have to say, it was very difficult. I respect a lot of the drivers that do one-off to adapt, sit down the car and not knowing much what the car is going to give it to you. It was very difficult. But I was thankful for the experience that I have, able to tailor the car the way I wanted and be able to do it. But that phone call was great. Jim was really nice. He has all good things about it to talk about, not only Roger, but they were really like, what do we do? We're kind of like, we're hoping that we're going to get that victory circle. And I'm like, well, you certainly know that I'm going to do my best.
There's a 4-time win on the line for Helio Castroneves. Look at the crowd. They know history's on the line. Welcome to the 4-time club, Helio Castroneves. That is awesome. Spider-Man is back at the Speedway.
Yeah, I was trying to show the fans the number 4, and when I was going.
Oh, yeah, right.
I keep hitting the windshield. I was like, oh, back then we didn't have the windshield. It's like it's just. And then I was like, all right, screw it. That's just I can't believe what we just did. It was which was amazing. It was awesome feeling. First thing I'm thinking about is like let's climb the fence. I actually kept it really fast, to be honest. I wasn't. Normally you release, you celebrate. I'm just like, I kept going a fairly amount of speed, I have to say. And I just want to make sure Mike, and I remember Mary Beth, which is Mike's wife.
Right.
She brought the and I keep saying, bring the pink powder.
Pink powder. Yep.
Pink powder. It was just because we had we want to make the milk pink color, which is the colors of our team and our sponsors, Auto Nation. And in memories, obviously, of why they are, because of the awareness of breast cancer. So we want to make sure, like, bring the pink powder and to mix with the milk. And man, it was absolutely awesome.
One final question. It was something, and I promised at the beginning we were going to talk a little bit about the Peacock Channel's incredible gathering of the 4-time winners of the Indy 500, better known as the Club. Great job by Doug Bowles, the president, and thank heavens it was before we lost Al Unser Sr. after a 15-year battle with cancer. But you revealed something, and I couldn't believe it. Tell the story so that we can tease for people to watch the Club. You win the Indianapolis 500, and you had a little bit more heavy foot on the streets those days, and you got a citation for speeding. And what people don't realize, in the state of Florida, you can have that removed by going to traffic court. Traffic school. I want to know what that traffic school experience was like and what you thought.
Yeah, it was really funny. I unfortunately, young, and you might have a sports car, and you might let the noise speed away. I just didn't want to have any issues. See, that's how right I am. Oh my God, I got a speeding ticket. I got to remove that from my driver's license. And what do? Go to the driving school, and the first thing, sitting on the table on the desk, and they had the TV. Back then was not even flat screen. It was like tube TV. That's how old it is. And they press, you guys gonna watch it out. Some of the folks that think you guys are fast, but you gotta listen to these people that they know what they're talking about. And it was Al Sr. and Al Jr. literally talking about, winners of the Indy 500 and telling us that we shouldn't be speeding. And I'm like, wait, I won the Indy 500. Come on, I should be there,
You should have gotten a pass. Yeah, you should have gotten a pass.
I did pass the school, by the way. I didn't get the points because I went to the school, of course. But I did tell the teacher, by the way, I just won the Indy 500.
And what did they say? It didn't help.
He was like, no, I'm not sure. It's like, no, we didn't have Google back then. That's right. So they're like, yeah, I'm not sure. I bet what they're thinking about if they remember that day.
This has been absolutely probably one of the most enjoyable parts of Wind Tunnel in the 2 years that I've done it. You are a genuine human being. Forget about what you accomplish in a race car. And as I said, I'm very, very humbled by the simple fact that you took me into your circle, and that you shared things and thoughts about life. And I wish you, your entire family, nothing but continued success, but most importantly, a continued sense of everything happens for a reason. Helio, thanks so much. And listen, go get him in the 106, okay?
I will, brother. No worries.
I just joined this club. I love it. And I don't know what the membership is going to cost, by the way. But I tell you what, man, I would love to go to the next level.
Well, the membership triples if you get a fifth.
Oh, deal. That is not a problem, but I would love to keep it going, and sky's the limit.
Last question for the three of you. In 1967, three-time winner was a big deal. You were joining Rose and Shaw and Meyer. At that point in time, the game changed, and from 68 on, it was, can we have a four-time winner? You were the fourth three-time winner. Helio is the fourth four-time winner. The fourth three-time winner gets to four. Does the fourth four-time winner get to 5 wins?
I don't see one wrong. I guess the record can make it be broken.
I like this already.
Pretty good endorsement.
You guys got that? All right, good.
The desire's there.
The desire's still there very much.
If it's your day, it's your day.
That's right.
And I don't care what they say.
What do you think, Al? Can he get number 5?
I think so if he behaves.
For me, it's an honor, and I'll do everything I can to do another one because, again, it's special for me to be here, treating among the gods of racing, and I just feel humbled to be here.
Hey, we'll wrap things up after you listen to these messages.
Hey, car lovers. At Advance Auto Parts, we have what you need to keep your car running all season long. So if you enjoy getting ahead of the curve when it comes to taking care of your ride, Advance Auto Parts has everything to keep your ride on track to reach the victory lap. Because you can trust the team at Advance Auto Parts to assist you in finding what you need at the right price. Stop by Advance Auto Parts, where you're always number one.
This is how we advance.
I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this special Wind Tunnel episode. And my thanks goes out to Layne Riggs as he attempts to win a national title. And of course, to Helio Castroneves as he chases an historic win this Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day traces its roots all the way back to the Civil War, but it has become more than simply a day of remembrance. It's a day of reverence as well as a day of celebration. We honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. It is also a day for us to realize that those sacrifices are the cornerstone to why the United States of America is the greatest country in the world. I'll catch up with you next week when I bring you yet another edition of Wind Tunnel.
You've been listening to Jack Arute's Wind Tunnel. Wind Tunnel is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of NASCAR. Follow us on our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And be sure to subscribe to Wind Tunnel's YouTube channel, where you'll discover bonus content. I'm Lenny Baticki of Performance Racing Network's At the Track Show, saying thank you for joining us today. See you again next week.